And again, you can go to the body, you can go to the face with this one, and I'm going to start with the foot. And then I go back to my fight stance. And that's how to smash.
Hey guys, great news. We're finally able to go film and record martial artists again after the coronavirus. I'm on my way to Crow's Nest Pass to meet with MMA fighter, Melissa Croden. Crow's Nest Pass is about 2.5 hours outside of Calgary, where we're from. And I just got here. The city is small, it's nice. It's like a very town vibe. The mountains are beautiful. The area is nice, the air is fresh. And I'm about to go into the studio to see where they train. Hi guys, I'm down at Crow's Nest Martial Arts with none other than Melissa Croden, who is an aspiring pro fighter. We get to go see some of her heavy bag work today. Melissa, why don't you tell us what we're doing today?
So today we're just gonna go over some basic things, talk about mainly movement, because I'm all about movement as opposed to focusing on mainly striking. So we're gonna go over a basic jab, learning how to use the heavy bag to practice our jab with our movement, as well as a cross, and then we're gonna throw some of those together to give you a couple of combinations to try out on your own. So I'm going to talk about the jab. So the jab is a lot more than it appears to be. So if I were to describe a jab to you, it would be all the other words used for your combinations or anything that you would use to end a fight. So it's not really a jab, it's like a doorway to everything else that involves fighting. But it's a really important thing to know how to do properly. Because if you can't master that, then you don't get to walk through that door and get to all the fun things. So when I throw my jab, I always start from movement, right? And it comes from your movement. It doesn't come from just standing here and throwing a jab. That looks silly, right? It doesn't work. So I always start in my fight stance, right? Whatever that may be, everyone has different styles. And that being said, everyone has different styles of jabs. This is just how I was taught, and this is how it works for me. So I'm gonna stand with my hips nice and soft, my knees nice and soft, my back foot off, or my back heel off the ground, right? So that I can move a little bit better, right? As one movement, and I'm going to move. So you're gonna find your rhythm here before you throw your jab. You notice that my hands are active, right? This hand is nice and high. I am gonna mention that if you're a little bit newer, or if you do have problems with dropping your right hand, I would keep it touching your face. I did that for a lot of years before I got more comfortable with my active hands and my movement in my hands. So for now, if you're new, or if you do have problems with dropping this hand as you jab, keep it glued to your face, because it's not worth getting a left hook to the jaw, right, over a jab, right? Not powerful enough to take that risk. So here, I'm moving. I can have active hands, right? I can do my fakes and feints, right? And we're just going to touch the bag. Now, as I touch the bag with that jab, this hand is gonna also pop up as I make impact, right? So we're kind of overcompensating here. So make sure this is active as much as this hand. Everything works as one thing. Again, when you're moving and you're practicing this, you can do your fakes and feints, you can flinch and then jab. You can use your head movement, practice that, change your angles where you're standing. Hop, you can change the cadence, right? You can go slow, fast. But I will say that when you throw your jab, try not to commit to them too much either, right? Because if we're stuck here, then we can't move into all of our other weapons, right? So for example, if I were to throw a really hard and heavy jab, I wouldn't be able to throw my cross as fast, right? And I might get countered there. So a couple more times. I'm moving. This is just a playful thing to practice on your own. You can go high, low, keeping the shoulder over. Good, and you should be able to practice that for hours on end if you really wanted to. At least I can, because it's more of a playful thing to practice. Yeah, just have fun with it. A lot of people ask me how I get such a straight and crisp cross. Crisp cross? That's a fun thing to say. But it's just through practice and being super disciplined on your footwork. It all comes from the feet, ground up, right? That's how you get a really powerful, clean cross. So my coach and I we've worked years on this to get it this way. So you just gotta get a little bit obsessive about it, I guess. So here, go into your fight stance. I'm standing in more of like a boxer stance here for this particular cross. Again, there's a million different ways to throw a punch, right? But this is kind of a fundamental thing that I would teach a beginner or something like that. I still work on these things to this day, actually, on my own time. So here I'm standing in that good fight stance, shoulders over. This hand is against my cheekbone, right? And I'm just gonna show you this from a stagnant position, not from too much movement. So I'm just gonna show you the kinetics of it, I suppose. So here, standing, okay? So from here, my toe is still like pressed into the ground and my heel is off the floor, right? So that I have some potential for movement here, right? I'm gonna start with my shoulder over like this, and I'm gonna turn my foot, which turns my knee, which turns my hip, turns my shoulder, and I always say the punch comes very last after all of those things. So you can see that there's a kinetic linking here, right? It's science. So here, I have potential to turn, right? So I'm not starting already turned. I'm starting, my toes are kind of at the same angle, I guess 45-degree angle here. And I'm turning my foot, turns the knee, turns the hip, shoulder, and then I throw my cross, right? So you can see in that end position here that I'm sitting into my hips, right? This hand is high, obviously. It takes a long time to train that as well. Here. So you can see I'm nice and strong and stable. Like if I were to be pushed on from here, I wouldn't move at all because I'm connected to the ground, right? So I'll go over some of the mistakes that a lot of people make as well. So starting with the feet, when they throw a punch, they put all their energy into it. They bring that back foot off the ground. You lose connection to the ground. So that's one mistake to be aware of when you're practicing this. Again, not completing the turn in the hip and not having your shoulder over is another big issue because this is your shield. Like using this as your shield will save you from getting knocked out, right? Probably has for me quite a few times. Okay, next thing is this hand dropping. Very, very common. You see even like guys and girls in the UFC, like they may be amazing fighters, but there's always room for improvement no matter what level you're at. So here you'll see people, they have like this beautiful knockout punch, but their hand is down, right? I still do that too. So here, it's always a work in progress. So when I'm practicing my cross on the bag, again, I'm gonna start from stagnant if I'm new to this, and I'm just gonna slowly work that kinetic linking. Here, right? You can feel the impact. You don't wanna stick too much to the bag. As you get better, you should get some speed as well. But for now, I'm here. I'm lining all of my stuff up. I have a nice good stance, right? And then I'm going to start with the foot. And then I go back to my fight stance, right? We don't wanna stay up here, chin pops up, right? We're vulnerable. Bring it back home, I always say. So here, one more time. Good. Notice how this hand comes up as I turn and exchange the shoulders, right? And it comes right back to your face, more importantly. So I'll do a couple with some movement. This is how I'd practice this on my own. So moving, right? I can even fake my jab as well to set this up because you're not just gonna do a cross on its own for the most part. Here. Moving before and after, changing angles. and then come back home, right? And that's how you practice a cross. I'm gonna show you how to throw a snapping teep kick, I guess you could call it. It's something that I've used a lot to maintain my range, particularly for my style, because I like my space. And so it works really well when people won't stop coming in and you need to punish them for trying to take your space away. So first things first, standing in your normal fight stance. For this kick, I'm gonna, you do it the same way for both legs, but I'm gonna show you the rear leg because it's a little bit easier and a little bit more powerful because there's more of that space. So from here in my stance, I'm going to start by standing upright. So this is the only time you're ever gonna be standing square, is for this 1 millisecond for when you're about to chamber for this kick. So we're not spending a lot of time here. It's just for a short amount of time to chamber that kick because we're not using our hips to swing it like a roundhouse kick. It's straight on and it's snappy. So most of it comes from this motion in the leg. So from here, I stand upright, I chamber up, and I snap. Okay, so it's hard to practice slow, it looks a little silly, but one more time just to get the mechanics down of it. Here, I stand up, right? My hands are up. So here, up, I chamber, hands come across. So you can see it's like almost like a karate snap kick or like a turn kick from Savate mixed with a teep or a push kick. So I'll show you in fast motion because it's a little bit easier to do explosive and with some speed. So always from movement, as we talked about. You can always fake this as well. So you can see how much power that generates. So I am using a little bit of hip. I am using like the hamstring to snap that foot forward, and using it all together, you will be able to almost put them on their butt if they're coming forward at you. And again, you can go to the body, you can go to the face with this one. So it's quite a useful thing to know. Try it out for your next sparring. I have a combination that's simple, yet a little bit complicated depending on how you look at it. So it's going to be a jab setup, and then we're gonna explode into a leg kick. So this is, the leg kick is something, or this style of leg kick rather, something that I learned when I was a kid in Taekwondo. So it's really fast. So if you have more of an explosive attribute to your style, this might work for you, and it might not work for you. So you just gotta try it out to find that out for yourself. So when we're setting any sort of leg kick up or any sort of attack from this side, or basically any sort of attack, like most things start from a jab. So when I'm working something like this, I'm always focusing on my movement before and after. So I think that's something that's really underlooked, especially when we're working on the bag. I mean, yes, we use bag work for conditioning. It's great to just kind of smash the bag and get a hard workout in. But when we're training for sparring or for a fight, you have to keep in mind that your movement is where everything comes from. So that's something that I like to keep in mind when I'm training anything really. So here I start moving, I'm nice on my toes, my back heel is up, right? I'm kind of sinking in my hips a little bit, right? Movement comes from the hips, moving, and I jab. Notice how I slip after each jab, right? because we don't want to stop after each jab, right? Stop and then stay in center line. We're always moving on and off center line. Boom. This hand comes up on my jab, right? And then from here, I'm going to jump with this leg as if I'm hopping over something, and I'm kicking with my back leg. So here, okay, you notice that my shoulder was over, I was leaning back, and I changed angles all at one time. So it's a really complicated movement, lots going on, but all of it happens at once. Okay, so one more time, this is full speed. So I'm setting my leg kick up with my movement, right? I can move, change angles before, and I keep moving. But notice how I jumped all the way to this far side here. I think that this has served me very well in a lot of my fights. When people have bridged distance on me a little bit faster than they like, it's one of those combinations you kind of bear down on and learn how to get into a fist fight, essentially. So again, always from movement, okay? Moving around, using your jab again to set everything up. It's a part of our rhythm, okay? Changing angles, right? And then on this cross, I'm going to step as I throw it, right? So you can see how I'm stepping in and changing the angle as I throw that cross, right? Chin is staying down, of course. And I'm basically just going to throw this left hook, right? When you throw a left hook, same thing as I explained for the cross, like you wanna link everything as you do it. So your feet aren't sticking and staying in one spot. You are pivoting on that lead foot, right? So you're not over rotating. You're just rotating as much as your fist goes, if that makes any sense here. Okay, so I'll do it a couple times slowly. Movement to set it up, always. Fakes and feints. I step on that cross, right? Turn for the hook. Notice how I'm exchanging this hand to my face. It's not coming back down here. Boom, and then I throw another cross. So you can see that there's a twist motion that's happening. So you're going from one position to another, back to the start. So lots of hip movement. Okay, so one more time. I'll do it in full speed here. Try to imagine as you do your bag work that somebody is in front of you. That will help your movement as well, right? That right back to your movement and your angles, more importantly. So again, one more time. Yeah, it's a very powerful thing. I'll do one more time for you guys to see. And that's how to smash.
All right, well that was awesome. Thank you so much for showing us some of your heavy bag drills. In case you guys need to find her, check her out on Instagram, Scare Croden. You want to tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life, what you're aspiring to do right now?
So right now, I'm sure everyone is experiencing this. The fight world is kind of on hold. Things are starting to get moving right now, but as of right now, I'm ready, getting prepared to fight in the fall, as my fight has been postponed a few times now. So I've been staying ready just in case other opportunities come up, but I've just been, you know, forging my tools, sharpening my blades.
And what fight is this, your second or third pro fight?
This will be my third professional MMA fight.
And where do you plan to take this? UFC, somewhere fancy like that, or is it still sky's the limit?
All the way to the top.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, keep a lookout. We're gonna be teaming up with her regularly to bring you awesome MMA content. So we look forward to sharing her story with you.